Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Bobble Pod. This episode, thanks to Gareth Healey, is going to be called Stand Out or Die. And we'll get into that in just a moment. So, as always, please like, follow, subscribers on our podcast channels. And if you're watching on YouTube, press the bell button, please, so you get notifications of when the next episode comes out. But again, as with episode 5, where we talked about, the scope of agencies in the current landscape, we invited obviously Gareth back to discuss what I think is a really good topic, is your book Stand Out or Die. So welcome back, Gareth.
Thanks, Manny. Great to be here again.
Fantastic. So Gareth, tell us a bit more about what is Stand Out or Die, your book.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I won't tell you the whole story because it's a long one. Thank you for that pack shot. I've always wanted to write a business book, and during the first pandemic lockdown, I thought, well, now's the perfect opportunity, and I'll just rattle out a business book, and we'll get hopefully back out of our houses and back to work, and it'll all be done. And obviously that didn't happen, but neither did the book in the almost, because it took me a hell of a lot longer than I thought it would, and I was sort of well into the third pandemic before it was only launched in November last year. But so it was an experience writing it, but also an achievement that I always wanted to do. But the book Stand Out or Die, it's about it was a business book. It's how to make your digital marketing agency more visible, more valuable, and more desirable. And it features a roadmap as to how you might stand out in what is a very competitive and saturated market, a great market, an industry that we both love. Yeah. But nevertheless, something that's particularly competitive and getting more competitive by the day.
I'm assuming I can say this. I was actually one of the very, very lucky ones to be able to see a proof of the book. I was actually quite honoured when Gareth actually asked me to proofread the book. Yeah. And I was like, I hope he's not asking for a grammar updates because I'm not that big, but you wanted my opinion on it.
I did, yeah. So you're one of my, what they call in the trade, beta readers.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about that before, but not grammar, but content. But does this make sense?
I loved the book and I couldn't wait for it to come out. I mean, the best bit about the book I found was the exercises, specifically for you an agency, and how to not just each section explaining it in detail, some methodology around it, but going through it. I've got my copy here, which Gareth was nice to sign, so a little bit of rubbing it in to anyone out there. So, but you look at this and it's like a good 300 pages of high quality content. The previous episode was talking about, what the future outlook on agencies is. And if you're struggling as an agency right now, here's very basically a very good template of elements and strategies you can kind of follow right now. What was the driving force and motivation? We know what the book is about, but what drove you to write the book? I know you always wanted to write a business book, but why this one and why digital marketing agencies?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned before, and I'm an ex-agency owner, and now I'm a consultant for working with agencies to help them grow and develop. And so agencies, digital marketing agencies to some degree are my sort of sweet spot. Those are the people I work with. So I wanted to write a book, about the business I was in, but also more importantly, I wanted to write a book to this book sort of tells, it sets a sort of, a dynamic between what I call standstill agencies and standout agencies. So it sort of sets a tone to say there are lots of agencies out there that are not bad businesses. They're in some ways they may be very good businesses, but they've reached a plateau. They've reached a size, and it's not all about size. It's all just about growth and development, where the business owner, the agency owner, is frustrated that he or she can't get them any further in their development. And there are lots of reasons for that, but it's about making those standstill agencies, giving them the sort of a foot up the ladder, a push up the ladder, making them stand out more. Again, what is a very crowded market. So it was about giving techniques to try to help those people and achieve. I ran quite a big agency, so standing out is not all about being big, but it is about being good, and I wanted to give people some support, some help in doing that.
There's one chapter in particular which I mentioned to you obviously when you came in that I wanted to discuss about was sell your specialism. And I think to me, I don't know, I'd love to get your viewpoint in terms of which chapter was your favorite to write or which you think is the most important. But me, I thought the sell your specialism was the most important. And in the previous podcast, we discussed how, agencies, the market's saturated. They've got to, as we said, stand out, but there's so much choice out there. So how do agencies create a USP? How do they compete in, against all these other competitors and agencies out there? How do they allow, attract potential clients to them? But it was sell your specialism. First of all, can you define what you mean by selling your specialism? That whole chapter.
Yeah. So, interesting. The chapter's on authority, it's badged authority, but sell your specialism, and it's about focusing on what you're really good at. So agencies by nature usually have a variety of services, some more defined and smaller than others. Some have a sort of full service approach and desire. Others sort of are more narrow and just focus on one or two or three services. But that chapter in particular is about selling your specialism, what you're really specialist at, what you're really the experts at. And it says sell your specialism because not just that's the only thing you sell. Necessarily could be, but doesn't necessarily have to be. But it's selling that thing, using that as the sort of arrowhead, and using that as the key thing you sell, your core product. So if you have a sort of product set, McDonald's sell burgers, that's their sort of specialism, but they also sell lots of other things, fries and drinks and sandwiches and salads and all that stuff.
I think Burger King do better burgers, but that's just me.
Other burger providers.
So Burger King, if you want to sponsor the podcast, I just said to say something nice about you. But the reason I mention that is because actually when we've worked together pre-lockdown, and not many people know this, actually up until 2019, we were a full service agency. We offered website design and build, creative design and build, video production and animation, as well as strategy, media services, and analytics. And part of that whole process we talked about is what we realized what we were really good was half of that. We were using contractors and elements of the other services, and I wasn't enjoying it at all, having to deal with third-party developers, clients, account managing that. I knew more about the stuff, and when I was doing that stuff, the clients loved me, but when we were doing the other stuff, clients were like, not getting the same vibe. And we dropped half of our services and literally said to our clients, gave them plenty of notice, said either go work with these people directly, we'll have to do that. Fortunately, that led to some clients saying, no, we want it all in one place. I went to lose them, but it was a conscious decision we made. And that was after December 2019. That's it. We did not offer website design, build, creative, or, video production services. We now just solely work with suppliers, and we say, right, here's the people we recommend, go talk to them. That's it. But we specialize in our 6 key services, which you can find out on our website. I'm not here to plug anything, but that really helps. And when I was reading that, I was like, because we did that. Yeah. We focused on what we were specialists as, but more importantly, what I was a specialist at and what I wanted the agency to really focus on.
And as you grow, when the business grows, the agency grows. And this book is really intended for sort of agencies that are more than 3 years old, sort of more than 500,000 turnover, wanting to get beyond $1 million. I speak to a lot of freelancers that have read this and got a lot out of it. I speak to bigger agency owners that particularly have said to me, it's reminded me of things that we need to do still or we've moved away from. So it has a broader appeal, but the book itself has a focus. And I think that's important, not just for agencies, but for business. It's not really a book about standing out at this, actually, despite the title. It's not really a book about digital agencies. It's not really a book just for. I'm talking about this chapter. The one word summary of this book is focus.
Focus. So actually, we'll make that as like the core focus of the episode. So I had a few questions on that chapter, if you don't mind just going through them. So, do you think focusing on a specialism as an agency, and when I mean specialism, I mean like sometimes a specialist market or sector, do you think that's limiting the potential of that agency?
I could be sort of facetious and say yes, because if you don't focus, you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah.
But the point I know you're making is if you just focus, well, are you going to be able to do that? And you know, I would clearly, I've written the book. I'm a sort of a bit of a evangelist about these things, but I don't think it does. But I do recognise, you know, what you're suggesting or implying, I think, Manny, is to sort of say, you know, you get to a certain, if you just focus on dentists, for the sake of argument, as clients, there's only so many dentists. I mean, there happens to be thousands of dentists, but there's only so many, you know, reasonable sized dentists, and you might get conflict of interest if it's not dentists, if it's, you know, supermarkets, whatever it might be. There'll be certain, you know, conflicts of interest where certain clients might not want you to work with their competitors. I do buy that. I do understand that. But I also think that, as hopefully this book gets across, that it's not just the focus on clients about picking an industry. It's picking people with the same problems. So you might choose to focus on dentists as an agency, or you might choose to focus on people that are not dentists, but they're people with a similar problem. They run businesses that need to attract people into their location in person. They cannot do dental work yet online.
Yeah.
So they can book online, they can talk about it online, but they can't do it online physically. That's probably a long way off doing that, but might happen someday beyond my time. But what other, you know, the way I look at it is we might not just work with dentists, but we might work with businesses, because we understand that dynamic. We understand the need in our digital marketing, our paid advertising. We don't just want a click. We want somebody to click, but then visit. So how do we, you know, use our skills to get the actual visit to the location or book in, not just click and read?
Let me flip it a little. So use us as an example as an agency. What do you think as an agency that we do? Because we have I wouldn't say we focus on our specialism as different services, and we don't go beyond that, but we'll do side steps here and there for the occasional client just to help them. But we focus on a process, and it's that bit where you came out to. It's not just obviously working in this industry, but going out and solving problems that many people might have. So from that and from the consultancy work we did, we developed the whole agile digital marketing agency approach, built on the whole peer system, plan, implement, evaluate, repeat, in terms of, which is why on our website we have the whole approach system. So if you want to know what the hell that is, just go to our website and go to our approach section. You'll understand and how we create our methodology. So for agencies out there, because some of the advice I got, I won't say who, is I want to hopefully be in a position where you know, where 5 years ago, where, you know, I want to build Bobble up to a position where, you know, and over the next 10 years, I'm able to exit in some form. But it's my baby, and I'm never going to fully let go. I'll always have some support of it. But, you know, I'm a businessman at the end of the day, like everyone else. I don't want to be doing this for 30, 35 years. I want to be doing it for the next 10, 15 years, and then maybe focus on other interests and hobbies I have. But I could just mention that because the advice go was like, you know, if you want to build to sell, you've got to have a proposition to sell. It's not physical assets we're selling. We're not selling an IP. You know, we're selling physical products or e-commerce or, you know, revenue of sales. It's still revenue, but of client income in terms of services we offer. Our core resources are our staff. Our staff is our assets. But to stand out compared to all those other agencies that do the same thing in the saturated market, it's like, well, we have to be different in terms of our approach and what we do in the process we use to solve the problems most companies out there, or a good chunk of companies, whether it's different specialisms, industries that have. So when you look at it from that point of view, what's your opinion?
I think that's spot on, and I think, you know, this it's, unfortunately I've got the time to go through it all today in the book, but there's the roadmap. It's an acrostic. It's an ROADMAP for the 7 stages in the roadmap. For people who haven't read the book, there's the 7 stages in it, and much of what you were all of what you've just said there is covered in that roadmap, I believe. So the step number 3 is authority. It's about specialism, which you've just talked about. So choose a focal service. Domain is about choose focal clients. Some people struggle to actually do more of one than the other. We had in my agency very retail focused for clients. We were actually we're an integrated full service agency, so we had a lot of services, but just so some people balance that differently. Yeah. If I believe you can get both in balance, that's even better. But specialism clients. But what you're talking about here, step number 5 is methodology. So it's having a process that you